They say the Rams have the edge in every single category that matters: quarterback, head coach, and the trenches. But I'm looking at this matchup, and I see a completely different story unfolding. They want you to believe the weather is our only hope, but let me tell you right now, this Bears team is bringing a lot more to the table than just a low thermometer. We aren't just looking for an equalizer, we are looking for a statement win that shakes up the entire NFC. Before we dive into the film and the facts, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with a fellow fan so we can keep building this community together. There is a narrative floating around right now, started by some folks who I frankly think aren't watching the tape closely enough, claiming that Los Angeles holds all the cards. They look at the names on the paper and say, well, Sean McVay has the ring, Matthew Stafford has the tenure, and their lines are superior. Hold on a second. I'm not buying it. Let's actually break this down man to man, unit to unit. First, the coaching. Yes, McVay is a brilliant offensive mind, nobody denies that. He's been doing it at a high level for a decade. But to suggest Ben Johnson can't stand toe-to-toe with him? That is disrespectful to what we have built here. Johnson is an elite play caller who understands modern spacing and leverage just as well as anyone on that opposite sideline. He doesn't need to have a decade of head coaching experience to out-scheme an opponent on a single Sunday. Then you look at the quarterback spot. Matthew Stafford is playing incredible football. He's arguably an MVP frontrunner. But does that mean Caleb Williams can't go blow for blow with him? Absolutely not. We have seen Caleb rise to the occasion time and time again. He is a big game hunter. When the lights are brightest, he finds a gear that most rookies and young quarterbacks simply do not have. Stafford has the experience, sure, but Caleb has the dynamic playmaking ability that can break a game script wide open. And don't even get me started on the offensive line. I will stand by this. The Bears' offensive line, unit for unit, is playing better football right now than the Rams' line. There is a caveat there: Kevin Dotson. If their right guard plays, that gap narrows because he is a force in the run game. But even if he suits up, I don't see a mismatch that we can't handle. Their defensive front is formidable, but our skill positions? We match up perfectly. This idea that they are just better across the board is lazy analysis. It ignores the context of the last month of football. They haven't been playing their cleanest ball recently, and we are surging. Now let's talk about the weather, because it is a factor, even if it's not the only factor. It's supposed to be freezing at Soldier Field. You have to ask yourself, who wants to get hit in 0-degree weather? This brings me to a critical point about our defense. A viewer named Jerome brought this up, and he's spot on. The secondary and the linebackers have to play lights out. We need to see the version of the defense that showed up in the second half against Green Bay. Think back to that game. The first half was shaky, but after halftime, the back seven locked it down. They suffocated the run game. Matt LaFleur tried to bleed the clock in the third quarter, and he hit a brick wall. Josh Jacobs, one of the best backs in the league, had 8 yards on his final 11 carries. 8 yards. That is the level of intensity and gap discipline we need for 60 minutes, not just 30. If we bring that energy from the first whistle, the Rams are going to have a long, cold day. Speaking of the cold, let's look at the Rams' weapons. This is where the chess match gets fascinating. They have 2 absolute studs in Puka Nacua and Davante Adams. But they are very different players, especially when the temperature drops. Puka scares me because he is a yards-after-catch machine. He's the guy they use on jet sweeps, crossers, and those gritty plays over the middle where he just bounces off tacklers. He's young, he's physical, and he doesn't mind the contact. Davante Adams is a legend. I respect his game immensely. But let's be real about where he is in his career. He is a perimeter master, a red zone assassin. But does he love getting cracked over the middle in sub-zero wind chills? Historically, as he's gotten older, he prefers to win with finesse and route running on the outside. I suspect the Rams are going to lean heavily on Puka to do the dirty work between the hashes. Our game plan has to account for that. We might see a lot of zone beaters thrown Puka's way, while they try to isolate Davante one-on-one for big plays. It's going to be up to our coaching staff to decide. Do we man up Puka and try to take away the easy stuff, or do we bracket Davante and force them to beat us elsewhere? Here is a question I want you all to think about, and it's something that could define the narrative of the entire NFC next year. Question of the day: who plays better this weekend, Caleb Williams or Matthew Stafford? I want you to go down to the comments right now and type CW if you think Caleb outduels the vet, or MS if you think Stafford's experience wins out. Don't just sit there. Let me know who you've got. While we are looking at the roster, I want to touch on a few names that have popped up in the rumor mill. First, Shamar Turner. I had high hopes for him this year. Before he tore his ACL, you could see the light bulb turning on. They kicked him out to the edge for those last few games, and he was starting to set the edge effectively. It's a shame we lost him because he has that inside-out versatility you love, but the sample size was just too small to call him a breakout yet. We just have to hope he rehabs hard and is ready for camp next year. Then there's the chatter about DJ Moore. Is he a roster lock for 2026? Lock is a strong word. They aren't going to cut him. He's too talented. But could they trade him? If the front office decides they need to free up cap space to attack a different position of need, it's certainly possible. But honestly, I'm not worried about 2026 right now. I'm worried about beating the Rams. And for the nostalgia lovers, I saw someone ask about a Khalil Mack return. Man, doesn't that bring back memories? He's still playing at a high level, and we know he loves Chicago. If he hits the open market, remember, he almost did last year before resigning with the Chargers at the last second, I think the Bears absolutely make a call. Imagine him back on a one-year deal, maybe $12 to $15 million, as a situational pass rusher? I'd sign up for that in a heartbeat. But that's a conversation for the offseason. Right now, the mindset has to be sharp. I loved what I heard from Case Keenum this week. He is such a valuable asset to this locker room, maybe even more than we realize. When the team got back to the facility after that emotional win over Green Bay, Keenum stood up and told them to flush it. He used the Minneapolis Miracle as an example. He told them about how, 8 years ago, they had that euphoric, walk-off win against the Saints, but they struggled to turn the page and get ready for the NFC Championship game because they were still living in the moment of the previous win. His message was simple: the Green Bay win was awesome. The fans will remember it forever. But for the players? It's over. It's done. If you walk onto the field against the Rams thinking about how great you played last week, you will get punched in the mouth. You have to hit the ground running. That is the kind of veteran leadership that money can't buy, and it's why Keenum is worth every penny he's paid. Finally, we have to talk about the unsung hero of this team, Cairo Santos. I know people get frustrated because he doesn't have the leg to bang home 62-yarders like some of the young guns in the league. But let me ask you, how many kickers can you trust in the swirling winds of Soldier Field in January? Not many. Cairo is a top 10 kicker in this league, plain and simple. He is rock solid. When he steps up inside 50 yards, you pretty much mark it down as 3 points. In a game like this, where every possession is going to be a grind and the score might be tight, having a guy who doesn't panic in the elements is a massive advantage. So, how does this all shake out? I think it's going to be a war. I think it's going to be physical, and I think it's going to come down to the final possession. But I believe in this team's resilience. I believe in the momentum we have built. I'm calling it right now, Bears 30, Rams 28. We win a nail-biter at home, the defense makes one final stand, and we keep this magical season alive. But what do you think? I want to see your score predictions in the comments. Be specific. Who wins, and what is the final score? Let's get loud this weekend. Bear down.